Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Grace Harris. Tonight, I am filling in for Donna, and she sends her love to all of you as well as her apologies. She will be back with us next week. And so I will be with you tonight in a conversation about the 5 catastrophic effects of a toxic relationship. So for those of you who haven't not met me yet, my show is usually on a Sunday night at 7:15, and it's called the Atomic Self-Love Project. And every now and then I have guests that speak with me about the subject of self-love mostly. But also what I love doing is just showcasing different modalities of healing, because I believe that we are all capable of healing ourselves. We just have to find the right one, the right modality, but also sometimes stack different modalities so that we can really calibrate how it fits our emotional, psychological, and physical needs. Now, just to go deeper into what I do, I'm an international Amazon bestseller author, and I wrote the book Become the Woman of Your Dreams. And this book is all about it's a memoir that really illustrates the story of abandonment and healing through radical self-love. And that's the reason why I am very passionate about speaking to women in particular regarding relationships, creating lifelong and deep and meaningful relationships that can really inspire and motivate you to live your full potential, to experience the joy that is inspired and motivated by your full potential. And aside from writing books, I have a program called the Atomic Self-Love Project, where we go dive deep into your heart set, your mindset, your belief systems, your values, your paradigms of self-love that allow you to discover and rediscover who you really are and what you're capable of. So tonight, what we're gonna do is how I usually do it in on my Sunday nights is that I'd love to see where you're hailing from. And say hello on the chat. I'm just going to actually activate my chat here because I'm also on Zoom. So I'm kind of like 5 to 10 seconds behind. Now, bear with me. I'm going to try and see if I can find the chat while being on Zoom. So that should be possible. So I've got, hi, Hayes. Nice to see you. Carrie, nice to see you here tonight. Karen, hi. Rebecca, hello. Let me know where you're hailing from. I live on the border of New South Wales and Queensland, in the town of Terranora. And I love for you to share this video if you have anyone that you know that might benefit from finding out about the 5 catastrophic effects of a toxic relationship. And so how we're going to do this is just, first of all, for those of you who are tuning in, I'd love for you to tell me um, an answer of a yes or a no, or if it's not a yes or a no, just say I'm not sure. And the question is this: if you feel that you have experienced or are currently experiencing a toxic or a narcissistic type of relationship, and if you feel vulnerable and courageous enough to share that you are or have been, say yes on the chat. And if you feel like that's something that you've never experienced and don't even really know what that is, just type in no. And if you feel at the moment, whatever relationship, whatever is the major relationship that you are having, whether that's personal or professional, if you're feeling neither disempowered or empowered, you're not disempowered, you're not empowered, you're not sure, you don't know, just type in I'm not sure. You don't know, you're kind of like on the fence. So I want to get a collective vibe of what we're experiencing here as a collective when it comes to the most important and the most fundamental part of our life, which is relationships. And the Atomic Self-Love Project, first of all, is really about our relationship with ourselves. And that is always bleeding into and translating into the relationships that we have with our loved ones, first of all, and then our friends, our family, and the people that we work with. And these relationships spell out what could happen in our reality. And that's why it's just so important to have that awareness, even to have that discernment whether the relationship that you're having is plain incompatible or is it to the point of narcissistic or toxic? We're going to go into exactly what is a toxic relationship as well. But yeah, so I just love to collect to see the collective vibe. So I've got Sonny saying yes, so true. Carrie says have done. Melissa, yes. Nicole, yes. So as with a similar show I've done before, there's a lot of yeses. And I'm not surprised because the reason that this is very, very common is we get so disempowered by relationships because of how much we love. And that's all there is to it. How much we love, how much we open our hearts. And the more that we open our hearts, the more that we are uh, subjected or vulnerable to pain and hurt and betrayal and cheating and narcissism and withdrawal and cold shoulders and stonewalling and yeah. So now, let's just get into the one same page about toxic relationships. Now, before I go deeper, I want to iterate that there are so many types of toxic relationships. It can occur in professional relationships between you and your boss, between you and your employee, between you and your colleague, between you and a customer, between you and a client. So that can happen there, but especially it happens in personal relationships. But even that has a lot of multitude. It can be between you and your partner, a male male, female female partnership, or a male female partnership, romantic partnership. But it can be mother daughter, father daughter, mother son. It could be sister sister. It could be friendship. It could be your uncles, your aunties, your extended family, everyone really. But for the purpose of this show, we are focusing on the romantic relationships, the type of toxic and narcissistic relationships stemming from a love and romantic setting, romantic dynamic. And, in my experience, I'll just give you a little bit of an insight of how I experienced toxicity and narcissism so that I can share with you exactly how I define that. And I share these experiences with you from a heart that's really grateful. So if I'm going to mention people that have hurt me in the past, that's because it's just part of the story. But the truth of the matter is, I am grateful for everything that has happened to me, but it's taken me a long, long, long time to find this space of forgiveness and gratitude. Because if not for those experiences, I wouldn't be who I am today. But it takes a lot of work. It takes a long time, decades, to reach a certain space like this if you're just doing it on your own. That's why I'm passionate about holding your hand and helping you bridge the gap between healing, empowered healing and transformation in your life, from that space of being hurt. So what happened to me was that when I was a small child, one day my mother said to me that we would go for a visit. And a lot of you may have heard this story before. It is also in my book, but because I'm filling in for Donna tonight, and some of you, many of you may have never met me. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about me. When I was 5, my mother said to me, let's go and visit your grandmother. I was very, very excited because I thought it was a visit, right? So I put on my one and only going out dress. This is back in Southern Philippines. I was born and bred there. And when we got to my grandmother, the first thing that my mother said to me, you stay here. I will be back for you this afternoon to come and get you. And as a child, I just went with my business, knowing that I'm gonna be going back home with my mama this afternoon, later this afternoon. And I remember around 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock, after hours and hours of playing, I went outside at the front of my grandmother's house, waiting for my mama to come and fetch me. And I remember looking at public utility vehicles, they're called tricycles, coming through from the top of the street. And I remember thinking, excitedly saying to myself, that's my mama coming to fetch me. And as every one of them passed by without her, I renewed my hope. That's okay. She's just a bit late. She's coming, she said. And after about 20 tricycles, I looked up to the sky and I noticed that it had faded from a bright blue to a dark gray color. And there was this moment in time. Have you ever had time in your life when the pain was so great, it was unbearable. It was that moment when I looked up the sky and I realized she was never coming back like the way she said she would. And so I was left with no explanation to grow up in that household. And over a long period of time, I was subjected to different types of abuse and a lot of neglect, emotional, psychological, sexual abuse. And so I developed this paradigm where the only things that I saw, the only types of relationships that I was exposed to were the relationship around me, which was always fighting, always bickering, like always fighting in different ways as well, you know, emotional, verbal, physical, and sometimes they did it legally as well. And, you know, and at one point there was guns and, but it's just like, to me, that was normal. That was what I grew up in. That was my paradigm of relationships. And so what happened is that when I was 24 years old and met my future husband, I then started my own cycle of toxic, narcissistic relationships. And I was a party to the narcissism. I was a party to the toxicity. It wasn't just that I attracted people who were narcs and toxic. I was one myself. It was a dance. You know, I was completely unaware of what I was going through until a cycle that had repeated itself over and over again. And where it became really destructive is that I could achieve practically anything I wanted to achieve that I put my mind to, you know, career, travel, whatever it was, I could achieve it except for the one thing that was the only thing that really mattered to me. And that was to feel true love, to have a relationship where I'm loved and accepted. Like I couldn't understand why, for the life of me, I could never get it right. Like I was always failing at it, even though I gave my all. And it was because I was in a cycle. And as you can see at the top of this video, you know, I explained to you that since a near-death experience in 2013, I've become obsessed on a mission to heal my life. And this is my mission and my passion now. And so tonight, you know, for me, toxic relationships is really, simply put, you know, it's any kind of relationship with two or more parties that manipulate, victimize, vilify, use, confuse, or damage one another intentionally or unintentionally. And that's and for the purpose of tonight's conversation, the 5 catastrophic effects of a toxic relationships, we're going to focus on romantic love relationships. So who's with me to go deeper into this conversation? Type in the chat that you want to go deeper into the conversation and just find out what are the catastrophic effects and how you can heal from it. So I'm still, Amanda says you're a beautiful soul. Well, so are you, Amanda. It takes one to know one. That's for sure. So thank you. And I see you. So yeah, deeper, Rebecca says, let's go deeper. Okay. So Amanda said, yep, let's go deeper. So the number one catastrophic effects, and it's the first thing that's happened to me when I was 5 years old, looking at that sky. And so I looked at the sky and I realized she was never coming back. And what's happened was that my heart began the process of shutting down. Toxic relationships, narcissistic relationships, shut your heart down. It closes in on you. You know, have you ever noticed that, you know, over a period of time, over a series of toxic relationships, you just become just a little bit more cynical. You're, you know, where you used to be very open and animated in conversations, you now seem to take everything with just a little bit of grain of salt. You know, you look at a person with just a little bit of, you know, suspicion, and you learn to distrust little by little. First, you learn to distrust strangers that just make you cringe. And then little by little, you listen to friends and you find yourself doubting their opinion, doubting their advice where you would have given your heart and listened to them before because you've trusted them. And the biggest damage is that as you go through the cycles, because it's a, you may have left a toxic narcissistic relationship, which is great, but because you left and you didn't really address and or look deeper into it, you jumped right back into one. Or maybe you had a space in between, but then the next one that you had is just as toxic, if not more. Different person, same kind of dynamic. You know what I mean? So then you find yourself that you trust yourself even less. And that's the biggest catastrophe of all, is you shut your heart down on yourself because you lose your trust on yourself. And then I remember one time, this is in during this is in 2020. I was in a cafe in Burley Heads. This is around Gold Coast. And my partner and I were having acai bowl in this yummy acai bowl shop. And it was morning, it was quiet. And so we already had our order on our table, but we were so close to the counter, and there was these two ladies that went up to the counter, and there was a menu on the board, big menu, right? And this lovely lady behind the counter was taking their order. And then so the first lady ordered, and then she said she excused herself, went to the toilet. And so the second lady, it was her turn to order. And then the lady behind the counter said, "What can I help you with? What would you like today?" Now this lady looked at the board in front of her, and she looked really intimidated, by the list of food and the list of drinks and the list of prices. It was colorful, and she looked really, and I was waiting for what she would say. And this is what she said. She said, and I kid you not, she said this, and she's probably my age, if not older. She said, um, "I think I'm gonna wait for my friend to order for me because I'm really not good in making decisions." And just my heart really went out to her. Like it just jumped right out. And I just wanted to just like give her like the tightest hug, because for a woman her age to say, "I'm really not good in making decisions," it's your own heart shutting down on you. You have no trust even just to choose a certain type of food at a cafe. So it's catastrophic, right? And yeah, so yes, Kat says I agree. Yeah. And so I feel that I found out very recently that the strongest vibrational center in our body is the heart, because it's 60 times more powerful than the brain, or 60 to 100 times more. It's more active. The only reason that we learn to listen more to our brain is because the brain is able to make us talk. It's capable of controlling those muscles and small motor system to open and close the mouth and control the tongue and whatever. And so we tend to attach ourselves to our mind, but really the heart is where it's the powerhouse of feelings and emotions, and it interprets whatever is coming from here. So if we don't trust this one, then we're going to go up to here, we're going to rely on this one, right? So this is the second catastrophe, is because this is shut down because it's so freaking painful. Like I just don't want to feel abandonment, I don't want to feel rejection. Like when I was a kid, I remember just walking around like a zombie most of the time. Like, when everyone else is hopping and skipping and going and yelling and screaming and being just children, I'll be this weirdo just on the side, like just looking at everyone, because I don't know how to get excited like that. I didn't know how to get animated like that because my heart is shut down. Now, the dangerous thing with this first catastrophe is it leads to the second catastrophe, which is so freaking dangerous as well. When we shut our heart down, we then run to our brain and rely on that without emotions. We become almost like, I don't know, we're like borderline sociopath, because there's no heart involved, just the mind. But the thing about toxic relationships is that catastrophically, number two, it poisons your mind. It really does. It causes so much mental health issues, anxiety, depression, and even suicide. Have you ever been in a situation where you just so worried sick about Who is he texting? Why is he taking that phone call outside the house? He said he was going to be here half an hour ago. Unless he's dead, he better have a good excuse. What's he doing right now? Like, you're just so suspicious. You have that urge and that stupid feeling that you need to know everything and control everything. You know why? Because you are made to feel by that person that you're not worthy to be happy. Because if you were worthy to be happy and peaceful and secure and joyful, they would allow you to see that in their actions. But their actions have, because their actions are leading your mind into thinking that they are someone who's hiding things from you, being secretive, and just manipulating data, manipulating facts, manipulating other people, so that you become targeted by a collective angst, by collective hatred, or whatever. It's happened to me. And so you get to this mind space where you're paranoid, you're worried, you're anxious, you get depressed, you just you close in on yourself, and your mind goes crazy, right? It poisons your mind. When I was, and I say this again, when I share stories, and they're all in the book, when I share stories about people that have hurt me in the past, it's because they are involved in the story. But I am, I couldn't be more grateful, because if not for those, I wouldn't be who I am today. But when in my previous marriage, I did try to take my own life away. I was in such a a place that there was this day when I was so exhausted. I was emotionally beat. I was just we were on this my ex-husband and I at that time, we were on this, I don't know, many months long, just verbal and emotional barrage. And uh and my baby was so small, was so young, and I had no one to turn to. I was in a new country, and I was just so emotionally beat. I remember feeling, if I could just have one good rest, if I could just have one good rest. And I took 28 pills. And I'm not just remembering it. It's actually in the actual memoir, Become the Woman of Your Dreams. If you want to read that book, that's available on Amazon. I took 28 pills of Calma One. Whoever is a nurse here, look, that you know what that is. Yeah. So, and I woke up 3 days later in the hospital. Luckily for me, it wasn't my time. But I was, it poisoned my mind. And you can see how passionate I am to just help people who are, caught up in these types of entangled, toxic, narcissistic types of relationship. And if you may have already, if you haven't already seen it, or at the top of this video, there is a link to a free 5-day Facebook challenge I'm conducting starting Monday next week. It's called Break the Cycle of Toxic Relationships, free 5-day challenge. I encourage you to join that one. There are so many members in there already. We're starting to have conversations, and we're starting on Monday officially for the 5-day free challenge. So joining the challenge, just press the link above, and love to be able to serve you there and really go deep and have a safe community and safe space together to just understand deeper why we get into these cycles and why we keep going back to it, and how do we actually freaking heal from it, right? And so, yeah, so I'm just going to go back into some comments here. See if, as I said, I'm always actually 5 to 10 seconds behind. I can see it says 32 comments, but I can only see 4. So I don't know why that is, but that's okay. I'll probably figure out the technology in a second. Let me see. Okay, I think I can figure it out. All right, so Amanda says, I need the link, please. Okay, let me just see. I think I can just post that right now here. Bear with me very, very quickly. Here it is. The link for the challenge, which is starting on Monday. So Amanda says lost and lonely, becoming so weak. Let's get you into the community, Amanda. Would love to be able to have that a beautiful space for you there. Yes, so Kat, as you can imagine, we kind of like share a similar experience when it comes to the mom. Um, what my wish for you, Kat, is that you arrive to a space that I have arrived, which is forgiveness and gratitude. I would just want to quickly, and I can go so deep into. There are three layers of forgiveness. So there is forgive and walk away. That's the superficial layer, forgive and walk away. And the second layer is forgive and forget, right? And then the third, the deepest layer, which is really in your gut, in your soul, in your heart, is the forgive and be grateful. And I'm going to quickly explain, because as I've just said to Kat, my wish for you is to arrive to a same space that I have worked so hard to arrive to, which is forgive and be grateful for. So the superficial layer of forgiveness is to forgive and walk away. It's your intellectual mind that's capable of discerning what's good for you and what's not good for you, and so you choose to break away. So if you join this 5-day challenge, for example, break the cycle of toxic relationships challenge, um, the most possible thing that you can arrive to is the first layer of forgiveness, is forgive and walk away. You will have the self-awareness that, oh my God, what am I doing here in this, not just in this relationship, but in this cycle? You might want to stay in the relationship, but just change the cycle, but just the awareness in the cycle itself. So you walk away from your demons. You forgive whoever it is you need to forgive, and even if that is yourself. So you just walk away. But the emotion, the intensity of the emotion is still something that you feel every now and then. So it's just an intellectual level. Now, forgive and forget is that you've chosen to forgive them. You've discerned that this is not good for you. So you're just going to let that go in your mind, and you're going to try not to remember those experiences. So you've developed the skill to, whenever those memories come in, you let them go, you replace them with another. Perhaps you're someone who's immersing yourself into meditation. And so that's a really, really great, amazing place to be. Right. And so, because it's a deeper layer of forgiveness, but the deepest layer of forgiveness is when you forgive and you're just so grateful that if that didn't happen, you wouldn't be who you are today. It's the ultimate act of self-love. It's an atomic kind of self-love. And my wish for everyone who's been in any kind of toxicity at all is to come to that space, because when you do, you start to live your life where it's fully inspired, fully motivated by nothing but your full potential. And that is my mission. If my mission in life, actually. Let's get into the third, before we run out of time, into the third catastrophic effect of a toxic relationship. And this is really sad. It's so sad, but it's so true. And what it is it weakens your immune system. It makes you sick, literally sick. Like you find like injuries and illnesses popping up that you don't even understand why. A, they won't leave and they just keep coming back, and B, where did they come from? You're always calling in sick at work. You're always not 100%. You don't want to take that phone call from your auntie or from your beloved father or parents, because you just don't want to sound like, you're always sounding sick. You're always sounding unwell, because your body is stuck in a negative, toxic, dark energy. Everything is stuck in there. There's no flow. You're keeping it in. You're trying to just hold it in. You don't understand. You just want to be good, but you can't be good because there's that dark energy stuck. I know I don't know, had so many mysterious illnesses when I was in my toxic cycles of relationships. And yeah, like I don't drink, I don't smoke, don't take drugs. It's just my body's just too small to get used to any to strong substances like that. So I couldn't abuse my body like that, but I still, and I didn't eat. I don't really, I'm not really into junk food, but I just was like sick all the time. And so my immune system was telling me, hey girl, like if you don't listen to your heart, you don't listen to your mind, your body will tell you. It weakens your immune system. And so that's the third catastrophic effect. Now that's Uh, yes. Kat says you look on life as experience, learning and growing, and evolution, evolve. Yes. Now, you're so amazing. Thank you, Sonny. And so are you. It takes one to actually recognize one. Leslie says, my husband passed away and I need any sign that he is with me, please. Leslie, so tonight I won't be pulling out any cards, but my heart goes out to you. My dad passed away a couple of months ago. And so I know, um, yeah, tonight when you go to bed, just close your eyes and listen around you and tune into the deepest intuition that you can tune into. And he will be there. He will be there. If not immediately, just the fact that you're feeling him. Um, okay, so let's get to the fourth catastrophic effect, which is now this one is it's really it's that thing, that thing. It's like the elephant in the room, right? It's there but no one wants to talk about it. And it's isolation and alienation of yourself. You isolate yourself, you alienate yourself from your friends, from your family. You're just so hard to reach. You won't show up for dinners. You're always unavailable. You've always got excuses. And these are either self-imposed isolation or they are controlled isolation by your partner. Either way, it's because you are just not in the mood, not in, you cannot pretend. You cannot, you have this, you haven't got it in you to actually show up and show what's going on, because if you did, they're going to see it and they probably can't hold their tongue and say something to you. So it's like the elephant in the room, and sometimes you may show up but everyone just can't say anything to you because you won't open up first. And I want to share this with you. I used to work in a corporate industry before before I transitioned to do my own thing. And when I was working in this corporate industry, it was actually the first time in my life when I started to feel that people are good. Because I work for this bank for 12 years, and every day they ask me sincerely and genuinely, are you okay? How are you today? How was your weekend? How's your kids? It's like I've never been treated nicely that way by anyone else before in my life. And so I started to trust people. And because you're so loving and supportive towards me, I never had the heart to share that what was going on in my personal relationships. I didn't want to ruin, I didn't want to dump on them, I didn't want to offload on them. I wanted to protect them from the darkness that was living inside of me. But you know what the truth is, which I found out later on? They all knew anyway. They just wanted me to open up first, because they weren't the reason that they're not them openly is because I was so freaking capable as a woman. Like, I had everything that I needed, paying my own house, traveling the world with my kids. I had a great career. It didn't look like I needed help. And so people will wait for you to open up and be vulnerable and courageous and give them the sign that, hey, people, I need some freaking help here. They will need you to give them a sign. Don't alienate yourself. Don't isolate yourself. You know, don't leave the elephant in the room unrecognized. Now, I'm going to go into the biggest catastrophic effect of a toxic relationship, the fifth one. And I'm hoping that my internet is holding up, because it's making that twirling sound saying your internet is unstable. The biggest and the fifth most catastrophic effect of a toxic relationship is that if you don't address your cycles, if you don't change anything, you are most likely going to repeat the cycle over and over and over again. And one day it could cost your life. And so there's nothing else to be said. And this is why I'm so this challenge has been created. So on Monday, so join the challenge. I'm going to post the link again. It's a break the cycle of toxic relationships free 5-day challenge. I'm starting on the 19th, Monday, until the 23rd of April next week. So I'd love to see you all there. And we are going to cover things like the empath, the narcissist, the martyrdom, the why do I keep going back? Should I stay? Should I go? What is a toxic relationship? What's the difference between that and just an incompatible relationship? And who are you in all of this? And what can you do to heal from it? Now, if you're someone who's really um, who's really keen to dig deep into your life, and or to help someone that you know who's going through this, I encourage you to join the challenge, but also share it with anyone that you know might benefit. Because even if you haven't experienced any kind of toxicity in a relationship, if you know the signs, you can potentially save someone's life and their future. Someone that's important to you, someone that's close to you, someone that you care about. So go ahead and share the link with them. And yeah, I actually am really looking forward to have you there. Now, before I leave you guys, there's only a couple of minutes left for us. I wanna just see if I have more comments here. So Amanda, um, thank you for sharing it, Carrie. And yeah, I think I'm seeing all the comments. Now, thank you for showing for tuning in with me tonight in as a fill-in for Donna. Again, she sends all her love to you guys and her apologies. She will be back next week. Um, and as we all have, sometimes things come up, and so we're all lucky enough that we can just ask one another to fill in, so that we can serve you, we can keep serving you on this platform here on Spiritual Events Directory. So for those of you who follow me around in the Atomic Self-Love Show, I will see you again on Sunday evening at 7:15, and I hope you have a happy hump day, or enjoy the rest of your week, and I will say goodbye. Thank you for tuning in. See you at the challenge. Bye, everyone.